Hello everybody and welcome back. We're in Gran Turismo 7 in the trusty GTR Nismo GT3 2018, the car which I've taken through all my GT3 races, and today is no different. But today we're in for a bit of a spicy one. There's a lot of carnage in this and a lot of decisions I had to make in order to get decent results. We're starting in P7 and my first mistake of the race was made right here on screen now, where I put "let's have a clean race" in chat. Now, I'd run this race a couple times already on this day. It was about, well, you can see, 11:30 at night. So I'd done this a couple times, and each race had been fairly clean as we got away from, the back markers and taking the fight to the people up front. We're starting in P7 today, so we're in the bit in the middle, bit in the mix. And there's a couple decisions I make throughout the race to ensure that, I can gap some people, I can get away from some carnage, because as you'll see, this is one to watch, because you'll see that I run into some of the dirtiest drivers we've ever had so far. And for some of you guys, this might just be like a Tuesday in terms of the quality of races that you come up against. But for me, this was the first time where I really had a lot of the lobby just out to get each other. And of course, we're in driver rank D still. My safety rating has gone up to S. I've been working on that, but the driver rank does take quite a while, and I haven't raced as much as I really want to. But I'm trying to consistently race in the Nismo so I can get a feel for it and adjust it how I want to. I've got it to a place where I'm pretty happy with it, and I'm feeling comfortable in the car. We've got an NSX in front of us, it looks like, probably a couple 911s around the field, McLaren I think behind somewhere. It's quite a mixed field in terms of what we're seeing here, but nobody else is running the Nismo, so that is me in the white one there. So as we take off the start here, get a pretty good start on the NSX in front, getting the toe up to the main straight. Now, coming up to this first corner, I've been practicing this track quite a bit. I'm still not quite perfect yet, but I brake early, a little bit too early, and get the shunt in the back. That is my fault, but again, I was anticipating a bit of a clash at the start. Now, pushing somebody wide there, bit of a scrappy start. We do start to pick it up, and the quality does increase of driving here, but we come around the left-hander down into second, just tip it into the corner, keep an eye on the people in front and trying to gap the people behind, hopefully. Now, driver in front has picked up a penalty and also started the dirty driving already, hitting the red driver behind, who's also got a penalty from that. There's a lot of penalties going on in this race of people slowing down, and that's good for me because I haven't got one. I've just been shunted again there, and as you can see, I'm really not happy with that. But it does mean that I am behind with my own pace. A lot of these people have penalties for the stuff they've been doing, so I can take advantage of that when they slow down and maybe overtake a couple of them. But again, it's not great for me when I've been practicing my lines and the braking zones and getting this track down with the Nismo, and then I come into a lobby and people are just killing each other. So braking around the 150 meter marker here, and I make a couple mistakes on this final corner, the main one being that I'm not really letting off the brake fast enough. So I get my braking done, but I try and turn while I'm still braking to slow myself down even more when I don't need to, which is a mistake that I rectify later on, as letting off the brake will let me tip the car in and get it positioned where I want it to be for the exit. So we work on that throughout the race and throughout all of my stages of going through this track in practice as well. So braking around the 100 meter marker and tipping it round the corner down into first, and bit of a sloppy upshift there, but it's okay as the front two are still battling. And we have a black BMW behind who, if you know BMW drivers, they are not the cleanest most of the time, even on the roads and on the racetrack, and that will, well, bode for what's to come in the future. But for now, he's chilling behind there. I'm looking to make a move on the cars in front. They're being a bit scrappy in some of the corners, and some gaps are opening up like that. They're not very happy with me trying to get that though, and push me wide, and again try and push me. So I'm just going to brake, let them have it, and in my head I'm formulating a plan already. I'm stuck in this field of cars as I get shunted there. I'm not quite sure who by. It might have been the BMW or the blue, I think it's a Lotus, I actually don't know, up in front. I could be wrong, but yeah, really not happy with that. But the car behind, the BMW does get penalty, so I'm assuming it was him. But yeah, in my head right now I'm thinking there's a lot of battling going on, there's not a lot of clean racing, I can't get up to the pace I want to, and there is a mandatory pit stop in this race. So what I'm thinking is I'll get one more lap done and I'll dive into the pits, get in some clean air behind a lot of the pack, and get some good laps in so that when they all pit, because the pit stop is mandatory, I will be out in front of them. That is my thinking, but for now we stick through them. I just have to survive this one lap, as I'm starting to think, okay, I'm going to pit this lap, get in some clean air, get up to the speed that I can get up to, and, actually get some good laps in. because if they're all fighting throughout all of their laps leading up to their pit, it's going to slow them down, and then I'm going to be able to get in a higher position than 8th when the pit stops actually end up, you know, happening. So, swinging it in down to 3rd, a little bit more on the power before we take it off the power onto the brakes down to 2nd. That BMW really not happy with either of us there, apparently. Just absolutely sending it through that corner using us as braking zones, which is not ideal. But he's now up into the front of this little pack. Again, lots of scrapping going on here. It's just, yeah, the quality of the driving here was a significant dip from the last couple of lobbies that I was racing in, but it did make for quite an exciting end to the night of racing for me. The highest position finish that I got so far in the Deep Forest Raceway was, I think, 3rd. I got onto the podium, but let's see if we can get anywhere near that for this in this absolute war zone of a race. But I'll be quite happy if I can get a couple positions above 7th where I finish, especially with the amount of contact going on. So this will be my end lap, just trying to keep it safe. I don't want to spin. Overcooked it a little bit, but managed to tip it in just at the last second and keep it all within track limits. I'm really not worried about these guys in front. My fight isn't with them right now. I'll let them take each other out, and I'm just going to dive into the pits and do my pit stop. Now, you can save a couple seconds in the pit by not refueling and not changing your tyres. It's about 1 or 2 seconds, I think, quicker, and I am on the softs for this race, and it's 12 laps. I can make those softs last. I have been fighting pretty hard, so especially my front right and my rear right have been a little rough, but I'm confident that I can make it to the end. So I save the time in the stop, don't change my tyres, and head straight back out, because I think, based on what your commenters have said, not changing your tyres is faster, even though you still have to stop. So, not cutting across pit lines, I've done that once or twice since I started sim racing, and it's absolutely just depressing when you get that penalty, so making sure to be extra careful here, and I'm down into 14th at the back of the pack where I want to be in mostly clean air. However, seems like the dirty driving continues throughout the entire field, so we've got a driver behind who is intent on basically killing me. So I've just got to try and keep it clean, and cleaner is faster. If they're going to be trying to take me out, then I'll just race cleanly. They're going to be hitting walls or not taking lines properly, and I can gap them, hopefully. But I need to get away from them first. It does kind of help that they're at the back of the pack, though, so I know that their pace isn't all there for whatever reason. So I'm pretty confident that I can make that gap happen and get out of harm's way. But originally I was a little bit scared when I came out of the pits, and there was yet another driver trying to kill me on the main straight as soon as I came out. So luckily we managed to get away, leave him in the dust. Again, braking at the 150 meter marker-ish. Little bit too wide there. You can tell I'm a little bit flustered by the driver behind kind of sending those moves around me and trying to put me into a wall. But I need to keep my composure. That's the plan here. Don't know whether my Nismo has more straight line speed than they do, but I give it the full power. And, you know, I got to the point where on the straight I can kind of tell when I need to shift up, where exactly the good points are to do that. And I'm quite happy with this track at the moment. There's still work to be done, but compared to, again, my last race on the channel, which was at the Nürburgring, which I'm still struggling with a little bit, I felt a lot more comfortable here, and I've been loving the Nismo so far. It's probably my favourite car in my entire collection, just because of the races I've had with it, all the miles I've had with it, to kind of get to know how it handles and feels, and that's the overall goal. So this is at the end of the lap that you have just seen. I think this was my out lap. And we catch up to a bit of the pack here, but this isn't really what I'm concerned about. What I'm concerned about is how many numbers that my position marker goes up once we go past the pit. So the car behind that was trying to kill me has also disconnected. As you can see, we're now 14th out of 14th. But on the main straight, we head down to, I think, 12th position, which was a little surprising since most people seem to pit on lap 6, but not a lot of people seem to do that here. Some pitted on lap 7. But we made up 2 positions nonetheless, and we've also got some drivers who I don't think have as much pace as I do in the front. Bit of a bad upshift there, but it's okay. We've got decent pace. We can see, especially if they're fighting, that we can get past them and try and keep it clean. As I say that, I think that's a McLaren goes straight into the wall, but we're back with the 2 drivers that we were with at the start. So that undercut, getting in clean air, didn't quite work for these 2. It seems they had more pace in that middle sector than I did, or at the same pace, and managed to, you know, pit the same. But we did lose the other 2 drivers who were with them at the start of the race, where they disconnected or they had less pace and then now dropped back. We seem to be all good. So whether or not these guys are pitted yet, I'm not sure. Maybe they have, maybe they haven't, but I'm back with them now. But it seems that I'm a little faster, especially with their antics going on. But again, just looking for a gap past the waterfalls on the left there. Absolutely lovely part of the track. I like going past it when I'm in a time trial, not noticing it in the race though, since I'm so concentrated. But tipping in, I do brake a little bit, I don't know, a little bit off there. I was trying to take all my speed possible into the corner and head round, but either the driver in front wanted a bit of a boost as soon as they stopped and let me hit them, or, I don't know, they just braked weirdly, but I ended up sending it into the back of them, which is unfortunate, sending them forward and killing my speed. I'm not quite sure who's at fault there, but, you know, I should have reacted to that, so I guess it is mine. Okay, back to the 100-meter board, braking there and sending it down into first. More decent shift than the other laps I've been having, as the driver in front takes a very wide, all over the place line, really, and bring it down into third, getting some power through here. And you can hear his tyres screaming for grip there. But luckily, it seems he's fumbled it a little bit, so down into second, quite a long right-hander. I did struggle over the course of the race to try and maintain my speed consistently through there and get a good exit. And shifting down once, trying to hug the inside as much as possible as we drive past somebody who's ended up in the wall from an incident in front. So the yellow flags have been brought out there. But nothing I can do about that. Barely even tilted my head to notice it. I'm so locked in on trying to get my lines right. And we have another driver in front now within our sights. Driver behind is still there, definitely. I'm checking my mirrors to make sure that they're still following. And they are, but we've made a decent gap. One thing I do wish we had in the VR mode of Gran Turismo is the timing sheets. You have your previous lap times that you can cycle through on the right, but I wish you had gaps, which would be really, really helpful. Unfortunately, you do not. Bit of a sloppy last corner there. Not too happy with that, but it's okay. We've got decent, you know, pace on the straight with the Nissan, so I'm comfortable here. And at this point, we're back up to, well, one position from where we started, especially going past the pit straight where people are pitting in there. So we're in 6th. So we've already made up a position from the start. So our undercut strategy did work a fair bit, as well as overtaking a couple of other drivers. So I'm happy with how it's played out so far. Now, this is where things start to get spicy as I send it a little deep into the corner. Luckily, we ghosted there. In D-rank lobbies, there still is a bit of ghosting. Not all the time, as you can see, there's still quite a lot of contact at the start of the race especially, but it does save you a little bit when it can tell you that you're definitely going to make contact and somebody is kind of at fault. So, we've got the toe here, and I'm going to try and brake a little early. 1, to get a better exit, and 2, to let the driver here, well, go completely wide, apparently. So he's straight off the track. Mistake by him lets me overtake up into 5th, and we're now back on the straight, but he is quite close. So he's got the toe right on my Nissan, and I'm going to try and defend this a little bit in terms of coming through the straight, but there's not really much I can do. We make another position by somebody pitting, and the driver behind decides to smash me in the back. Luckily, he came off worse in that engagement because he ended up hitting the wall, losing his speed completely, and completely wasting the toe that he got from behind me. And unfortunately, for the driver who pitted on that lap, they've come out completely neck and neck with the absolute psychopath that's trailing me right now. So it's lucky for me that he's no longer going to be attacking me. He's going to be defending and fighting with somebody behind who's just come out of the pits. But I do feel kind of bad for the driver who is now going to have to deal with that while I try and go off into the sunset, essentially. And luckily, that is exactly what happened as we fast forward here to the final lap of the race. The two drivers behind have been scrapping each other. They're pretty far back. I've got quite a decent gap, and we're going to take home P4 as we come down to the main straight, which I'm very happy with. A gain of you know, 3 positions, which is good. It's exactly what I'm looking for in this type of daily race, just to get my driver rating up a little bit and my safety rating. So we crossed the line in P4. I'm happy with that, but to be honest, I'm mostly relieved that the absolute carnage of that race is over. If you did enjoy it, please feel free to like and subscribe. If you'd like to see more Gran Turismo content or VR in general, we do that all day, every day here. So thank you for watching. Thank you to our patrons and YouTube members: Luke Bentley, Phil Irving, Zeke Mercer, Ace Gamer, Hippie Pickle, Jin007 at License to Chill, Sun WTF, Piosco, and Fat Controllers. All the Patreon and YouTube membership links are in the description below. Thanks for tuning in once again, and I'll see you all in the next one.